He pōnei. Niue's Assembly unanimously passes a groundbreaking motion on pension entitlements. A leading mosquito expert has arrived in Niue to conduct a survey of the island's mosquito biodiversity with the aim to enhance the island's preparedness for potential disease outbreaks. And a call for all aspiring chefs. Scenic Matawai Resort announces a new scholarship program for locals to gain qualifications in culinary arts and hotel management. Whakalofalai atu kia mutolu osi, greetings and welcome to BCN News. Member for Hikutawake Ian Hipa has welcomed a groundbreaking unanimous decision passed in the Niue Assembly yesterday on a motion to allow terminally ill residents over 60 years old to continue receiving their Niue pension entitlements in New Zealand after 6 months. Under Section 2A of the 1991 Pensions and Benefit Act, Niue residents are entitled to their pensions while undergoing medical treatment in New Zealand, but only for a period of 6 months. Hipa said the current law was unfair as some medical referrals exceeded that time, leaving pensioners without support. Furthermore, terminally ill pensioners were in most cases unable to return to Niue to renew their pensions and are not entitled to the New Zealand pension.
It's a matter that concerns me. To help our people, especially if you're there for over 6 months and they cut off your benefit. Yeah, that's really concerned me because most of people here in Niue, they don't live in New Zealand or work there. I'd like to thank the government for supporting the people here all the time. A lot of things. But this is just one of the matters that are really concerned with.
The motion aims to reinstate the pensions of those currently in New Zealand as well as their spouses or caregivers over 60 years of age. Hipa says the motion was about protecting Niue's tangata nofo motu and those who had dedicated their working lives to Niue. Keeping with news from the Whanawake Pule, a second motion was made by Common Role Member Honourable Billy Tālangi, who highlighted concerns for invasive species in Niue. Tālangi moved that the Assembly refer the issue to the Natural Resources Select Committee for an in-depth consideration and for the committee to report their findings and recommendations to the Niue Assembly. Honourable Tālangi said invasive species have become a growing problem on the island, and despite efforts to remove and control invasives, many had become resistant to pesticides. The motion was passed by unanimous decision. In our ministerial movement update, Prime Minister Dalton Tangelangi is now the Acting Minister of Finance, with Riki Makani, the Member Assisting Minister and Member for Tamakautonga Village, as the Acting Minister for the Infrastructure Ministry. Both will hold their posts from the 7th until the 28th of March, in the absence of Minister Crosley Tātui, who is on official government travel abroad. Niue's Director of Public Health, Griselda Mokoia, says she has been pleased with the local turnout for the STEP survey. So far, more than 70% of Niue's population have been screened in the village-to-village clinics that began last week. She says while they are tracking close to their 90% target, they are still urging residents who have missed their village clinics to get their checkup before the survey ends.
We're very grateful for the assistance from the village councils. So they're the ones who get in touch with the village members and also sending out reminders for the day that they're expected to come for their tests. They also remind them about the importance of fasting 8 hours prior to the screening the next morning. So great response from all the villages that we have already covered. So looking forward to the same support for the remaining villages that we have left.
This week, screening clinics reach the villages of Vaea and Avasele. The screening will make its ways to Tamakautonga tomorrow morning and Alofi Tokelau Hall on Monday. Mokoia notes their biggest challenge will be targeting all 250 residents in Niue's largest village of Alofi.
So we're going to be spending 3 days in Alofi. We're also going to be dividing the village into 3 to make sure that we cover as many people as we can.
An Australian mosquito-borne disease ecologist from James Cook University is here in Niue to conduct a comprehensive survey of Niue's mosquito biodiversity. The study aims to help identify the mosquito species present in Niue to assist Niue's Department of Health's preparedness for future-borne mosquito-borne disease outbreaks like dengue, malaria, Zika, and chikungunya. The last mosquito survey conducted in the 1980s found only 4 mosquito species documented in Niue, but Dr. Amanda Murphy says that number could be much higher.
It's actually considered the most dangerous animal in the world, the mosquito, because it actually kills millions of people each year with diseases like malaria, dengue, Zika, chikungunya. Luckily, we don't have those diseases in Niue, but we need to make sure that it stays that way.
Dr. Murphy, who is also the coordinator for the PAC-Mozzie consortium, says while Niue has seen fewer outbreaks, the current risk to locals was higher due to a surge in mosquito-borne diseases like dengue fever throughout the Pacific. Niue's Public Health Director Griselda Mokoia says the last dengue fever outbreak in 2018 resulted in 208 reported cases and 1 fatality. UN Resident Coordinator Eleona Nicolita emphasised the importance of delivering impactful and inclusive results during the Country Implementation Plan workshop held at Matavai Resort on Tuesday. As the UN reviews its work under the 2023-2024 plan for the next 3 years, Nicolita stressed that the focus must remain on ensuring no one is left behind. Merisa Takala was there and filed this report.
The gathering of government representatives, civil society groups, and private sector representatives is focused on ensuring the UN's support is aligned with Niue's development priorities and responsive to its evolving needs. The UN resident coordinator said, though progress has been made since the launch of the Country Implementation Plan, or CIP, critical challenges still exist in public health, disability inclusion, violence against women and girls, education and skills development, and climate resilient and environmental sustainability.
At the national level, the country implementation plans translates this commitment into concrete actions, ensuring that the UN support is aligned with Niue development priorities and respond to evolving needs of the country. I want to acknowledge the strong leadership of the government of Niue in driving national development strategies, including initiatives to strengthen economic resilience, advance social well-being, and address environment sustainability.
The Deputy Secretary to Government, Gayleen Tasmania, in her address said Niue faces unique challenges as a small island developing state that requires tailor and context-made solutions. She highlighted the important work made on the current CIP.
We have made important strides in implementing the current CIP, particularly in areas such as strengthening climate resilience and disaster preparedness, enhancing health services and educational opportunities, supporting economic diversification and sustainable livelihoods, and promoting social inclusion and ensuring that no one is left behind in our development journey.
Nicolita spoke on the crucial role of a joint steering committee that will play a crucial role in overseeing the implementation of the new CIPs. Presentation were also made virtually by various UN representatives with group discussions based on the 4 pillars of the UN's Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework.
As we move forward with the development of the new country implementation plans, it is crucial that we establish a robust monitoring mechanism to track progress and ensure alignment to national priorities. For this, a joint steering committee will play a key central role in overseeing the implementation of the new country implementation plans.
The CIP is a key component of the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2023 to 2027. It serves as a strategic roadmap for UN engagement in Niue, ensuring that collective UN actions effectively support national priorities and contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Merisa Takala, BCN News.
The scenic Matavai Resort is offering locals a unique opportunity to study on island with scholarship programs for chefs and hotel managers. Resort manager James Shilton says participants will be able to work and earn while gaining their Level 4 certifications in food and hospitality. The courses will be accredited through Service IQ, an internationally recognised qualification body, with opportunities for locals to gain additional industry experience in New Zealand at top venues. Shilton says the goal is to develop future sous chefs, restaurant managers and hotel duty managers for Niue. Matavai's new head chef, Te Raitua Kathas, who came on board this year, will be leading the program on site at Matavai.
the plan is that we set up an apprenticeship program so that school leavers and people who are interested in either front of house or culinary can come into the hotel. We can provide them full accreditation to like a New Zealand standard and sort of upskill, because I feel like I saw it a lot back home that you have a lot of people leaving and moving outwards because they're not getting the support and the training, and I want to keep people in Ireland. I'm not saying don't go out and travel and broaden your horizon, but I want them to want to come back home and cook, but we need to give them the platform so that they can succeed.
As he serves his second-year term as New Zealand's High Commissioner to Niue, Mark Gibbs sat down with BCN News this week to share on upcoming activities for the Commission.
March is looking to be a busy month for the New Zealand High Commission here as they await the arrival of a public financial management consultant and contractors from Synergize Limited, who will be on the island in 2 weeks' time.
We've got our public financial management consultant coming up in a couple of weeks to work with FinSec about some of their budget preparation work. We've got Synergize, which is the contractor to do the renewable energy plant. They're arriving on island this 2 weeks' time. We've got New Zealand Police here this week helping out with training. Later in the year we've got the Foreign Fisheries Ministerial meeting where we'll have the Honourable Shane Jones coming up as New Zealand's delegate. So, in the space of just this month, there's so much going on.
Later on this year, New Zealand Minister for Oceans and Fisheries, Honourable Shane Jones, will be attending the Foreign Fisheries Ministerial meeting hosted by Niue and plans for the commemoration of Anzac Day.
And we look out further into the year, another year of Constitution celebrations, working with the Government of Niue on the Foreign Fisheries Officials meeting, Foreign Fisheries Ministerial meeting. So yes, a lot going on already, yes.
Mark Gibb has also confirmed they have received 8 applications for the Manaki New Zealand Scholarship. They are now undergoing assessment for the 8 applications with successful candidates to be announced later in the year. The Commissioner looks forward to another great year of forging stronger ties between Niue and New Zealand and is proud of the current level of engagement shown. Mersa Takala, BCN News.
A team from the New Zealand Police are on the island this week to continue training with the Niue Police Department under the Officer Safety Training Program. Program Senior Advisor Karina Isaac says the training marks stage 2 of the program for new recruits as well as a refresher course for existing officers.
A lot of that is focused around a decision-making tool that we call the Tactical Options Framework. So within the Tactical Options Framework we have certain things that fall out of it to support tactical options. One main thing that we have is tactical communication. So they are learning about how to communicate with people, members of public and the community. So we like to say that tactical communications is our most important part of this because we want to be able to speak to people in order to de-escalate situations that may have without using force.
For 18-year-old new recruits Hannah Fo and Eric Tonga, it has always been a dream to join the force. They've enjoyed learning their new skills, including defensive tactics, unarmed combat and tactical communication skills.
It has been it's a good opportunity for all of us to go through. Mentally and physically, it does help us a lot. If anything happens within the community, it does help us a lot to protect our people and keep them safe.
Learn about our tena. It's very important for us, especially for us police officers. When we go out there, all the actions and dangers, it can happen to us, For us, the most important thing for us as a police officer is we get our job done and we make it home safely to see our family.
The Niue Police Department has 4 new recruits with certificates to be presented after training completion. A group of 4 students and 2 teachers from Niue High School are in Japan as part of the Japan East Asia Network of Exchange for Students and Youths program. Mere Satakala with this update.
Niue High School teacher Jack Fellesi told BCN News the students are well and enjoying themselves. Their itinerary has been full of activities since arriving, with visits to historic sites like the Sensoji Temple in Tokyo, the Kitsuki Castle and the Jikoku Meguri Hot Springs in Oita, and many more. The homestay is the main part of the program. This is the group's first visit to Japan that includes Angeline Peter, Ola Grace Viviani, Luke Mautama and Zindine Iowane, with teachers Jack Felesi and Showena Tanaki Awe. The Gen Z's program aims to enhance the interest and understanding of Japan amongst talented young people from the Asia-Pacific region by having them engage in activities that upgrade their experience. The group returns home tomorrow.
Niue-Blue has made it to the Time article of the world's most greatest places for 2025, published last week on their website.
Niue-Blue Managing Director Evan Barclay said they are absolutely humbled with this announcement of taking out the #1 spot on the Time article and happy to share this with the island of Niue.
It's amazing for us as a business, we're really excited about it. Obviously, to be in the top 100 in the world is fantastic, I think it's really important just to say that we share it with the whole island of Niue.
He hopes the recognition will raise awareness of our unique island as an amazing destination for tourists. They are also poised to become the South Pacific's newest professional association of diving instructors, better known as PADI Eco Center.
The booking's looking really strong for this year. The tourism is obviously growing in Niue a little bit with the peak time when lots of tourists come in here. So we're really looking forward to another fantastic year, but not only that, trying to work with getting our accreditation as an eco resort through PADI, and that will open up more opportunities for ecotourism as well, and different products of getting people engaged in the marine space.
Niue-Blue is the largest and most experienced water sports specialist on the island. They offer dive training, scuba diving tours, whale swimming and watching, as well as snorkeling and dolphin tours with 4 full-time staff. Mersa Takala, BCN News.
That's our show for tonight. For more news and updates from BCN, you can follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Just search Broadcasting Corporation of Niue, or you can check out our website tvniue.com. A special whakalofātu to our viewers from across the Pacific and to our partners at Pacifica TV. I'm Moana Makapiluli, Monuenei Po.